For billions of years, dragons have ruled the food chain, with the White Dragon King reigning as the mightiest of all. Even the gods tremble in its presence. Yet today, for reasons unknown, the White Dragon has accepted its fate at the hands of humans, despite never having wronged them. Perhaps its mere existence was enough to cast a shadow over the world, prompting humanity to strike first. As it faced its demise, the White Dragon, seeing no justification left for the humans' actions, paid no mind and gazed at the sky one last time, hoping for its soul to descend into the depths of hell. After all, this was a fitting end for a divine dragon that had lived since ancient times alongside the gods. Its body began to crumble, merging with the heavens and the earth, taking the dragon god to an eternal haven. Little did they know, this was not the end. To their surprise, the White Dragon was reborn as a boy in a small family, now called Dolan. Years passed, and the boy grew up, yet he still remembered his past life. In his village, he befriended a cute petite girl named Iri. Amidst the serene scenery, Dolan often felt that life was meaningful, longing to savor the tranquil existence in the countryside alongside his family. Their village, known as Varan, sat at the northern border of the continent of Arrest, with agriculture as its primary livelihood. Every day, Dolan would help his parents in the fields, tending to the crops with a bit of fertilizer. Though it had a pungent smell, it promised a bountiful harvest in return. With the wisdom accumulated over millions of years, he could assist his village in every way. At just 15, he was considered an adult and lived independently. After finishing his farming duties, Dolan would often go fishing with his older brother. They discussed the impending expedition to investigate a dangerous swamp nearby. If any trouble arose, the villagers would be in peril. However, Dolan, possessing the ability to fight, was chosen for this task, as the local guards were preoccupied protecting the village. Dolan, seeing them busy, decided to go in their stead, not wanting anyone else to get hurt. Later, he brought the fish he had caught to sell to some acquaintances. They were quite surprised that he was still so calm about fishing right before his journey. The young man assured them he was fully prepared and merely waiting for the day to set off. Melida and And were the ones training the village children in combat, teaching them to defend themselves against monsters. Dolan usually assisted, but this time he had to let them handle things themselves, as there were many dangers lurking nearby, and the village lacked enough soldiers. Each individual needed to realize the importance of training to protect one another. Iri also came by to invite Dolan to learn magic, as she admired him for both his looks and talents. Together, they went to the home of an elderly woman in the village for practical lessons. Dolan possessed the strength of a dragon, but living in a human body, he was reluctant to use it. Apart from learning spells from the old woman, she also taught him many other vital skills. One area Dolan struggled with was potion making, a crucial skill for everyone in the village to know for their own safety. By evening, he met a girl from outside the village, introduced by the village chief as Christina. Coming from nobility, the chief reminded Dolan to treat her well. Christina, strong-willed and straightforward, politely shook his hand. In that brief contact, they both sensed each other's strength, yet neither spoke of it. Upon returning, Dolan gathered some winter vegetables. The risk of starvation in the village was alarmingly high. Summer brought a sweltering heat that cast a fresh light on Min's world, revealing a life filled with both joy and struggle. Upon returning home, he was welcomed by his younger brother, a heartwarming moment that defined their happy family life. Before setting off, he wanted to ensure that his parents and brother would be safe at home. The family gathered around the table, laughter echoing as they enjoyed a meal, with his mother's culinary skills shining brighter than ever, leaving no scraps behind. His father spoke of the comforts of independence, yet hinted at loneliness, nudging Min to find a girl to marry, much like his brother had. This was advice Min had received many times before. He simply wasn't ready to think about settling down just yet. Curiosity sparked as he inquired about the journey planned for the next day, a journey to the land once inhabited by the lizard folk. His mother worried about the dangers he might face on the road, while his father reminded him that starting a family was an important step. Yet Min reassured them he would only observe from a distance, easing their concerns. His father praised him for his maturity, encouraging him to pursue his desires while remaining safe. The next day, the villagers gathered to send him off, a bittersweet surprise that filled Min with gratitude. This was the least they could do for him, especially since soldiers were meant to protect their village. Despite the chaos, Melida stepped in, preventing a soldier from changing shifts. The village had no one else to defend it. Nearby, a sorceress named Tia cast her blessings for Min's safe return. Meanwhile, his mentor, Irie, warned him of ominous signs she had foreseen regarding the journey. She advised him to stay vigilant, not to let his guard down. His friend had prepared food for him to take along, a gesture that filled him with warmth. It was known that the lizard folk had once interacted with the village, but recently they had vanished for reasons unknown. Thus, Min's task was to investigate and discern whether whatever had threatened the lizard folk posed a danger to their village as well. Upon arriving, he inspected the swamp and sensed something was amiss. With his seismic perception, he detected a powerful earth elemental force here, while the water element was dwindling. It was no wonder the lizard folk had to leave. There simply wasn't enough water to sustain life. Min acknowledged the accuracy of the divination from his mentor, Maguru. Suddenly, a noise startled him, and he instinctively drew his sword in self-defense. Only formidable monsters could survive in this place, so he braced himself for a formidable foe. To his surprise, the threat turned out to be a confused serpent girl. Initially, she tried to appear strong, but Min sensed her trepidation. He wondered what Alamia was doing here, as this environment was hardly suitable for her kind. The tales of the snake tribe depicted their beauty, often enchanting others, but she seemed to lack that charm. Struggling to use her mesmerizing techniques, she awkwardly mimicked what her mother had taught her, but it felt off to Min. He found her antics oddly amusing. Then, the true danger emerged, the colossal entity that threatened the lizard folk. The naive girl was in its sights, seemingly destined to be crushed. But unexpectedly, Min rushed in to save her, pulling her away just in time. Once they were out of harm's way, she began to trust him, asking about the creature. Min speculated that it was a crazed earth elemental, ravaged by its own power. She admitted she had never seen anything so large and grotesque, and Min recounted how the lizard folk had once thrived here until they were plagued by that very elemental, forcing them to flee. He shared that not long ago, Varana place he had felt tremors from might have been impacted by this very elemental, pushing it over the edge into madness. There was no cure for this affliction, so Min sought to join forces with his newfound friend to halt its advance. She introduced herself as Selena, revealing that her snake tribe could wield magic. However, she noted the elemental's affinity to earth would complicate matters. Still, she agreed to distract it for a moment, and Min felt a flicker of hope as he entrusted her with the task. "Okay, just let me show my skills," she chimed, though she worried about their lack of synergy, fearing it could lead them into danger. Min's unwavering gaze reassured her that he believed in her abilities. Selena wished him well, but her choice of words turned to an unexpected marriage vow, leaving Min speechless. Just then, the elemental advanced closer, sensing their presence. Both leaped into action, each taking on their respective roles. Selena positioned herself just right to summon a binding spell while Min prepared to assist her. Together, they managed to ensnare the elemental, but being of the same elemental type caused the binding to falter. However, those brief moments were enough for Min to find his opportunity. He leaped high, channeling the power of dragons into his sword, delivering a single, decisive strike that cleaved the elemental in two. The mud and debris erupted around them, causing Selena to panic and flee, though miraculously, she remained unharmed. As Min approached, he expressed his gratitude for her help, introducing himself as Min from the village of Varan while complimenting her beautiful name. The bond between them deepened as they sought a place for Selena to clean up. By evening, everything had settled down, and Min prepared a warm meal for his charming companion, easing her spirits. Selena expressed her delight at encountering a boy who didn't fear her, a refreshing change to her experience. "Can you do it?" she asked, her voice laced with uncertainty. He nodded, though the challenge loomed large after all. They shared the same earth element as the creature they faced. It would not be easy, but he only needed her to hold it back for a moment. "All right, let me show you what I can do," she declared, confidence rising within her. He felt a wave of relief wash over him, entrusting her with the task of distraction while he prepared for the final blow. Selena agreed, though a flicker of worry danced in her eyes. They were strangers, and she feared that their lack of synergy could plunge them into peril. Yet, with a resolute gaze, she assured him she could handle it. The quirky girl wished him well, but then, in a surprising twist, recited a marriage vow, leaving him speechless. Meanwhile, the earth spirit drew near, sensing their presence. As the signal was sent, both leaped into action, each with their own task. Selena positioned herself perfectly, channeling her magic to summon a mighty serpent. Min also lent a hand, successfully binding the earth spirit with swift spells. Being of the same element made it surprisingly easy, and the serpent was swiftly subdued. But in those fleeting moments, Du Lan seized the opportunity, leaping high to unleash his signature move, infusing his sword with dragon magic. With a single sharp slice, he cleaved the earth spirit in two, mud and debris flying everywhere, causing Selena to panic and flee, escaping unscathed but covered in muck. The young man hurried over, grateful for her assistance. "I'm Du Lan from Varan village," he introduced himself, while Selena's name, as lovely as a melody, made her blush. Their bond deepened as they sought a place for Selena to wash up, and as night fell, everything felt right. Dulan prepared a warm meal for the adorable girl, making her heart flutter. Meeting someone who didn't flinch in her presence brought Selena immense joy. "You know," she began, "you're different from other humans I've met. Usually, when a Lamia encounters one, we're on high alert and ready to attack. Yet here she was, dancing instead of defending, as there were no Lamia villages nearby." Curious, she asked where he hailed from. Selena explained that upon turning 17, a Lamia must leave her village in search of her soulmate. Unfortunately, she hadn't met anyone kind like him yet. Her kin consisted solely of females, always partnered with someone strong, and it was rare for male Lamias to be born. If they were, they would take after their father's lineage, not their mother's serpent form. Legend had it that Lamias were born from a human woman, cursed to transform into half-woman, half-serpent upon childbirth, giving rise to their kind. Their bodies are filled with potent toxins, requiring their partners to be immune to survive intimacy. Dulan listened intently, realizing the struggle Selena faced in her quest for love. He learned that her mother had met her father during a similar journey, and he was a human, just like him. It was no wonder Selena's beauty outshone other Lamias he had encountered. She was truly charming. Selena blushed, feeling a strange affection for this young man, but fear of hurting him held her back from expressing her feelings. When she tasted the food he cooked, she had to admit his culinary skills were top-notch. His playful nature amused her, and she couldn't help but think that it would be tough for someone with such a childlike spirit to take on the challenges of marriage. Watching him talk about his family with a bright smile, she began to understand that Dulan lived a very happy life. He's quite smitten, perhaps even falling for this boy, yet he fears causing him harm, leaving him unable to express his love. When it comes to trying his cooking, one must admit, his culinary skills are truly top-notch. Her childlike nature brings a smile, but wanting to get married at this age might just be a burden for any man. As she speaks of family, her radiant smile hints that she's lived a joyous life surrounded by loved ones. This reminds him of his days as a dragon, living in solitude with no friends to share the dawn with. Eventually, they parted ways, each taking their own path, wishing her luck in finding a worthy partner. "Being with loved ones is a blessing," he reminisced. Remembering his days as a dragon, he felt the loneliness of having no one to play with until dawn. Their paths diverged, parting ways with wishes for her to find a worthy partner. Suddenly, he recalled how Lamia thrived on life energy, so he gifted Selen a small amount unbeknownst to him. It was too potent, nearly causing her to faint from the essence of a dragon. They vanish in an instant, leaving her feeling quite despondent, as this always seems to scare people away. Meanwhile, he's diligently practicing under the tutelage of his master. The duo is concocting magical potions, a task he's not particularly skilled at. Unlike regular potions, magical ones require ingredients brimming with energy, and precision is crucial. A single misstep can lead to dire consequences. While IR is adept, he finds himself continuously making blunders, apologizing to Maguru for not mastering the craft despite her efforts to teach him. She reassures him, urging him not to belittle himself. Though he struggles with these complex formulas, he possesses an innate understanding of herbs. Hearing this, he expresses gratitude, admitting he finds it difficult with such intricate recipes. It's understandable, given his past life as a dragon, where he never encountered ailments, hence his lack of knowledge in medicine. Maguru appreciates IR's work, praising him for doing well, which brings her joy. As a reward, he's allowed to go out and play, even though he secretly wishes to stay with her longer. Mistakes here could be deadly, yet Irie's nimble hands keep trying despite constant failures. Our young hero keeps messing up, even needing to apologize to Lady Maguru for wasting her precious lessons. Still, his friend comforts him, reminding him not to belittle himself. Though he's not skilled at potion making, he has a rare gift for recognizing herbs. Hearing this, he feels a flicker of gratitude despite the struggles. The complex formulas are a mountain too steep understandable, since, in his past life as a dragon, he never faced illness, and thus never studied medicine. Lady Maguru praises Irie's efforts, calling his products impressive, which lights a spark of joy in her eyes. So, he's finally allowed outside to play, though he still wishes to stay with Mina. The master speaks of Dolan's magic and advanced offensive art. With more practice, it could save countless lives someday. She advises patience there are no shortcuts to mastery. Even gifted souls face hurdles. Those very struggles will fuel his growth. She wants to help Mena transform his toxic failures into cures, urging him to come train here regularly. The path is long but promising, lit by perseverance and hope. At noon, Irie invites him home for a family meal. Though not the first time, their warmth makes him feel a little shy. Before eating, they offer prayers to the village's nature deity, Mai. Dolan's old friend from a past life, Mena spots Mai's statue and feels a quiet longing to meet her someday. After eating, he rushes off, but Sister Moo calls him back for fresh milk. This beautiful, half-human, half-bull woman shares her abundant milk with villagers, nothing better to nourish body and soul. With such kindness and beauty, no wonder the men flock here daily for a taste. Dolan herself is a devoted fan of Moo's milk, instantly agreeing when offered some. Meanwhile, Mena dashes off to the training grounds to help out. Christina spots him, curiosity flickering, wondering where he's headed. Nearby, young Anne coaches the kids as usual. Older than Dolan by a few years, and treats Mina like a brother, and the kids eagerly run to show off their progress. Inside the nearby forest, Mina senses a familiar presence, something monstrous lurking. Unease creeps into his heart as he steps forward cautiously, knowing danger is near. As evening approached, he realized this aura might belong to Selena, but she should have gone far away by now. When he moved closer, he caught her in the act of bathing, leading to an awkward greeting. She was so oblivious, yet still managed to keep herself hidden out of shyness, splashing water all around. This scene was truly hard to bear. She had nothing to cover herself with, while he was the kind of guy who didn't care much about romantic matters, acting as if nothing was wrong. This could be attributed to how often he drank milk from the village woman, becoming accustomed to certain sights. When he asked Selena why she was there, she turned her head away, refusing to acknowledge his compliment about her beauty. To Dolan, beautiful things were meant to be admired, and he didn't care to hear girls gloat about it, not even when he was practically staring at her. This was indeed true, but she still felt embarrassed. The young man thought the desire for beauty was a natural instinct of men, so there was no reason to feel ashamed. Selena, noticing his indifference, scolded him, and after a few more exchanges, he apologized for his earlier blunder. She was easygoing and let it slide this time, then asked why he was there. She had clearly stated before that she would head south to find her desired military leader. She seemed sad, as her plans had been disrupted. Every time she met someone, they would scare her away, except for Dolan, who treated her well, which was why she sought him out. For him, it was no issue. In fact, he was glad to see his friend again. Hearing that made her happy too. Dolan suggested they live together since his parents had been pushing him to find a partner. Who knows? Living with her might bring happiness. When asked what she thought about this, Selena initially thought he was confessing his feelings. Living in the village could be problematic since Lamius were regarded as dangerous monsters. However, Dolan had already devised a plan to help her. Moreover, there were many beastfolk and half-humans living in the village, so he believed adding a cute monster to the mix wouldn't be a problem. At first, they might be wary of her, but gradually she would win their affection. Knowing she had a chance to befriend humans, left Selena at a loss for words. If her existence were acknowledged, it would make her life so much more interesting. After saying that, Dolan suddenly felt like he was wooing her. Selena smiled brightly, saying she thought living with him would be fun, and it would be even better if they did things couples usually do. She wondered if he could handle her poison. At this moment, she admitted there was another reason for seeking him out. The last time Dolan infused her with life energy, she had been enchanted. Never before had she tasted such rich and nourishing vitality. Knowing she craved it, Dolan cleverly promised that while they were together, she could take his life energy whenever she wanted. By this point, Selena was already smitten with him. With the prospect of sharing life energy, she was thrilled. They quickly devised a plan to connect with the village. Days later, the villagers received continuous offerings of meat and fish left by Selena. Based on the footprints and other clues, they deduced she was a monster. However, they couldn't understand why she would gift them food. The villagers had always been wary of monsters, wanting to keep them away from their peaceful lives. A meeting with the village chief and the officials was quickly convened. Lamius were considered extremely rare, so her appearance here had to mean something. The food Selena left was indeed delicious, but Dolan remained cautious, wanting to gather everyone to eliminate her before anything bad happened. The elders were still deliberating, as they knew that even a single Lamia could be dangerous. Dolan, who had overheard everything, was worried about whether their plan to build trust would hold. Selena had tried so hard to catch fish to offer the villagers. The elder, who was more cautious, advised the chief not to rush, as everyone knew he was concerned for the village's safety. However, upon reconsideration of Selena's offerings, she believed there must be a reason behind it. Thus, they decided to wait for her to appear to clarify whether she was a friend or foe before taking action. Erie brought the divination results that the master had predicted. After reviewing the outcome, it indicated that the appearance of the snake would bring good fortune. This aligned with what she had thought. Upon hearing this, everyone felt reassured and decided to follow her lead, waiting a bit longer, which made Dolan quite happy. That evening, he informed his friend that it was time to proceed with the final step. The villagers had become less wary, so it seemed their plan would succeed. The next day, Dolan, along with Medill, gathered a few people to search for the whereabouts of the Lamia. Naturally, he had to be part of the group to intervene in case anything went wrong. Seeing the core protective forces of the village there made Anne a little anxious about other areas not being guarded carefully. Conversely, Dolan felt pleased because the more people who witnessed Selena's kindness, the better. The most influential voices were, of course, Dolan and Melida, but more importantly, there was the priestess Letia. She was a devotee of the goddess Morali, known for her healing and detoxifying abilities, considered the messenger of the goddess. If she recognized Selena, the snake girl would be able to go through with their plan. The plan was to stage a rescue, with Dolan playing the victim attacked by a vicious beast. Selena would choose the right moment to reveal herself. However, things went awry when a gigantic monster suddenly appeared. Initially, they thought it was the Lamia, but this creature was even more formidable. It was a mighty bear. With immense strength, it could surely kill anyone with a single blow. The captain warned everyone to fall back, but in the chaos, his son Tauro tripped and was targeted. It was a shocking moment, but Dolan managed to intervene just in time. Selena was nearby as well, and she shielded the two brothers with her skills. They call it the mountain armor, King Hunger, beast of terrifying power. Yet, why has it come here? With a single strike, this bear could kill anyone. The team leader orders everyone to fall back, fear thick in the air. Tauro, his son, stumbles and finds himself directly in the beast's deadly path. The moment is frozen in shock until Dolan arrives just in time. Nearby, Selena moves swiftly too, shielding the brothers with her fierce skill. Dolan commands the monster to retreat to its territory without harm. Witnessing her overwhelming power, the crowd grows wary yet grateful. The rescued boy thanks her but is soon called away by his father. Dolan stays behind, vowing to protect them all. Melida believes Dolan's kindness genuine, but the captain remains cautious. As the leader of the defense squad, he forbids any harm. Dolan, however, holds fast to her creed. Never repay hatred with hatred, she resolves to stay. When asked about offering gifts to the village, Selena humbly accepts and prays for peaceful coexistence. She follows the laws of her people, wandering but often met with scorn. She longs to belong, to live alongside someone who understands. If fate allows, she wishes to stay here for a time of fragile hope in a world that often feels cold and unkind. It wasn't about grand gestures, but the quiet sincerity that moved even the soldiers. The reason they saved those 2 moments ago? Fear that their deaths would shatter families. With a father who's human, there was no harm meant. Lady Maguru's prophecy seemed true, and when Leticia received a divine message from the goddess Ma'ali, accepting Selena, everyone followed suit. This incident left Dylan utterly stunned. His old friend had lent a helping hand. This was the sacred judgment, no one dared to dispute it. The nature goddess Ma'ali declared to everyone that Lamia was not evil, but a child of nature itself. Peaceful coexistence was the goal. Selena even closed her eyes to ease the fear caused by the curse in her gaze. After losing consciousness from blood loss, she was rushed for care. The next day, the townsfolk gifted her a new home, welcoming her as a fresh resident. She felt immense joy as she prepared for her new life, receiving gifts from Dolan's father as a token of gratitude for saving his child. Meanwhile, IR, unaware of the Lamia tribe's intricacies, sought Selena's guidance, and Dolan stepped forward, proudly introducing her as their neighbor. Despite the unexpected events, Dolan expressed his gratitude for the divine message that had guided him and Selena. That night, men utilized his unique abilities to transform into a spirit, journeying to visit the goddess Mile. He pierced through 9 layers of clouds, arriving at a breathtaking realm. As he sensed the presence of his dragon friend, she came forth to greet him, recalling their once close bond. In the past, they called each other by name, but now, Dolan addressed her with reverence as the goddess. Having adapted to human life, he spoke of Selena's story, and Mile was already aware of it. He thanked her once again, acknowledging that without her divine prophecy, Selena might have faced dire consequences. With everything now settled, Dolan was surprised when the goddess recognized him in his human form. She explained that she heard the prayers from the dragon spirit within him, which made her aware of his longing for a joyful life so different from the White Dragon King she once knew. Dolan didn't deny it, reflecting on how, in this life, he had found friendly companions. He recalled his previous life, the moment the hero's blade pierced his heart, where despair was absent and relief washed over him. But now, he understood the fragility of human existence. Each day could be the last for someone, and the human body was vulnerable. Thus, Dolan cherished this new life even more. Morali saw her dragon friend shining brilliantly, living freely. Lately, she'd felt pure joy within her heart, partly thanks to the presence of the charming Lamia girl. Hearing this, Dylan didn't deny it and promised the goddess they'd meet again. Time passed, and Morali was awakened by her adorable friend to greet a new day with excitement. She'd woken early, eager, reminding Selena to knock next time to avoid bad habits. Seeing his cheerful face, she teased him about dreaming of their old friend and hearing good news that left him so refreshed. Just recently, they'd promised to go harvest potatoes with their friend Christina, the joyful knight, who had been sending letters back home in the kingdom. The message was meant for the headmaster of the kingdom's greatest academy. Christina, with her elemental spirit control, was well known there. Olivia, seeing the letter, was just as eager to read it. It spoke of Christina's life in Varan Vilagea, small place, rich in love, where people faced harsh climates and monsters, making everyone skilled in battle. Christina recounted her first fight alongside Vice Captain Medill. Though strong in the village, she couldn't outmatch Christina. Even when serious, Medill was disarmed and defeated, earning her deep respect. Medill openly praised Christina's extraordinary swordsmanship, and Christina returned the compliment, delighting everyone. Captain Ballon then hosted a feast to show the villagers warm hospitality. The gentle kindness of the villagers enchanted the young knight. Despite the harsh life, the food was delicious, prepared with heartfelt care by the village girls. At first, Christina struggled to adjust to such warmth. Being nobility, others treated her with a respectful distance, unlike the comfortable closeness of the locals. This made her feel a bit lonely watching them laugh freely. Evenings found Christina practicing swordsmanship alone, accidentally observed by Selena and Morali. They approached to chat and sensed her distance. The playful snake girl cheered her up by inviting her home. Selena shared positive energy, introducing her to a cozy hay bed filled with stuffed bersa, small comfort in a vast world. In the evenings, Christina often practiced her swordsmanship alone, inadvertently catching the attention of Selena, who approached her to strike up a conversation. Noticing Christina's aloofness, the cheerful, snake-like girl wanted to brighten her mood, so she invited her over to play. Selena infused her new friend with positive energy, introducing her to a cozy straw bed filled with plush toys that everyone had gifted her. To Selena, the bed felt warm and inviting. Christina hesitated at first, feeling out of place, but not wanting to dampen the spirit of her new friend, she laid down to give it a try. She complimented the Lamia tribe's unique bed, which, despite its rugged appearance, was surprisingly comfortable. They began to share stories about their early days. Selena, seen as a dangerous creature, had worried that the villagers would shun her, but to her surprise, they accepted her wholeheartedly. She reminisced about how kind Barlan and his wife had been to her, especially with their delicious milk that made her forget her way home. Recently, they had created various types of milk to host a competition, which explained why Christina often saw villagers gathering at their home. They were incredibly hospitable, and after Barlan's brother caught a big fish, he threw a feast for the entire village. Selena noticed how distant Christina seemed, so she playfully insisted that they lie down and have fun together. The two girls were so lively that Barlan joined in, chuckling at their antics. A few days later, the village hosted a milk drinking contest, and when Christina inquired about the new milk's flavor, she was told it was delightful. Barlan encouraged the local boys to drink plenty of his wife's milk to grow stronger. With Christina and Selena joining in, they were invited to participate. As they watched Barlan drink heartily, the villagers cheered, and the distance between them began to fade. Barlan even challenged Christina to a one-on-one milk-drinking duel. Filled with confidence, she accepted, even though Barlan was known as the village's strongest drinker. They began chugging glasses, but Christina showed no signs of slowing down, while Barlan was starting to feel the effects. As predicted, he lost to her seemingly bottomless stomach, and the villagers cheered, bringing joy to Christina as she felt accepted. Barlan's wife brought out more of her daughter's homemade milk to share. Initially, she planned to let her husband try it first, but since he was already out of the game, she decided to join in too. After tasting it, Christina found it refreshing and delicious, even asking for another cup, which made the young girl beam with happiness. This was Christina's first experience making milk, and thanks to Selena and the friendly villagers, she felt much closer to the community. In her letters, she wrote that the Varan village was a wonderful place to live. The news of Christina befriending Alamia astonished her friend. However, this revelation would lead to unforeseen consequences, as the noble class had a deep-seated disdain for Lamias, viewing them as dangerous monsters. Rumors began to circulate, likely fueled by Kayen, who wanted Olivia to tell her about Christina's snake friend. She was a mage working for the government, and it was clear that even a single Lamia could cause chaos. Recently, there had been troubling reports of mysterious disappearances. Little did they know, she was plotting something with Selena. Olivia defended her, stating that the serpent girl had been recognized by the goddess Mali as gentle and friendly. Yet Ken felt the need to summon Selena for further investigation. The village manager of Varan seemed to side with her, dispatching soldiers to capture her immediately. Meanwhile, The group was oblivious to this unfolding drama, still focused on their task of gathering Selena. It was the first time for them, and they had no idea what was happening. Dolan had to adjust things, and upon seeing Christina's method, he found himself speechless. He thought of it as a practice session. Then, the inevitable happened when Clash rushed to call them outside. Christina was pulled aside by the village chief for a favor, while Selena found herself surrounded by soldiers under the orders of the old commissioner named Gouda. Gouda, who was leading the monsters into the village, had been reminded by the priestess that the nature goddess had recognized Selena. However, they dismissed her warnings, claiming their role as the land's management necessitated caution. They aimed to eliminate any threats swiftly and surely. In Dolan's mind, he recognized that this group was problematic. Just as he had feared, the old man wanted to escort Selena to the capital to confirm her safety. Dolan stood up, questioning Gouda's doubts about the goddess's decree. Gouda remained indifferent, stating that if they wanted to reside here, Lamia must also comply with the kingdom's Lhasa long-standing rule. Dolan insisted on accompanying her since he was the one who brought her to the village. They underestimated him, allowing him to join her. The villagers expressed their dissatisfaction with the soldiers' attitude, feigning concern for the people's safety, which felt utterly insincere. Christina was deeply worried for both of them and decided to rush back to the academy to seek help from the principal, a person of significant influence who might be able to do something. She immediately cast enhancing magic on herself and sped back to the capital at full speed. Meanwhile, the couple was still in the carriage. It was Selena's first time, and she felt a bit scared, but having Dolan beside her gave her some reassurance. He asked if she was okay, and though she maintained a cheerful facade, her eyes betrayed her fear. Dolan reassured her, saying she had nothing to worry about. He embraced her, making her feel touched, as if being cared for by a loved one. He explained that this was his mother's way of alleviating anxiety whenever he felt worried. She would do the same, and it worked like a charm. At that moment, Selena finally allowed herself to cry, comforted by Dolan's promise to talk with her all night. Back at the academy, Christina, having rushed at breakneck speed, arrived at the principal's office. Seeing her in such distress, Olivia quickly guessed what was going on and calmed her down. For now, Selena would not be expelled, thanks to the blessing from the goddess. As for the one trying to take them there, it was Kian, citing connections to the recent disappearances. Naturally, this was impossible, as Varan was far away. The couple was called to meet the commissioner, and there was something very strange about this meeting, as he beckoned them to a secluded corner for a discussion. It remained unclear what was said, but after hearing it, their faces reflected shock. Christina was still trying to do something for Selena. The principal remarked that capturing them was Kian's true intention. This was the face of the central government's machinations. Upon hearing this, she grew anxious, but was advised not to act rashly, as they could be charged for overstepping their boundaries. Meanwhile, the couple was brought to Kian, who feigned a welcoming demeanor, greeting the serpent girl. She introduced herself, saying she had accompanied her friend. Kian invited them to dine, while the old man Gouda was sent away to complete his report. Selena was delighted to be served delicious food, viewing it as compensation for the trouble she had caused. She expressed her gratitude, asking about the paperwork to recognize Selena as a citizen of Varan. Kian said it would begin tomorrow. If Selena could prove her innocence, they could leave. Hearing this reassured Selena, as she had initially feared being surrounded by soldiers and thought she might be killed, considering she was a Lamia. Kian acknowledged that such a fate was quite possible, given Selena's lineage allowed her to control the townsfolk, considered one of the most dangerous manipulative abilities. After connecting with them, Kian found the serpent girl very charming and beautiful. Back at the academy, the old man returned, making Christina feel frustrated. Initially, she showed resistance, but once she understood he was on their side, she relaxed to listen to his explanation. Meanwhile, the couple, having enjoyed a sumptuous meal, began to realize it was laced with sleeping powder. Kian revealed her true colors, stating she had encountered many Lamia, but had never seen anyone as lovely as Selena, with ocean blue eyes and golden hair that made her face stand out. Kian wished to become as beautiful as Selena. At that moment, the sleeping powder took effect, causing the couple to collapse. Over at Gouda's side, he was discussing the disappearances of young girls in the Gal area. Christina had heard about this case, and knew none of the victims had been found yet. They continued to recount the presence of a witch living in Gal, rumored to be over 300 years old. Christina even suspected Principal Olivia was the kidnapper. Gouda insisted that the witch was human, and humans couldn't possibly live that long. Therefore, the kidnapper must have used forbidden magic to retain their youth. There were rumors she had possessed the bodies of young girls to continue living, and now she had set her sights on a beautiful Lamia. Upon hearing this, Christina realized that Kian was the embodiment of evil, but couldn't understand why he would endanger his friend. Given the current situation, they had little time left to act. Christina decided to follow them to understand why they had put the couple in danger. Back with Selena, she lay on an operating table while the witch reveled in her long-awaited capture of an intact lamia. She desired to take Selena's soft skin. At that moment, Dolan regained consciousness and intervened to stop her from committing any harm to his future wife. This left the witch perplexed, as she had given him enough sleeping powder. She glanced at the magic circle on the floor, piecing everything together. She asked if Kyan was already accustomed to bloodshed. The opponent admitted that he had lost count of how many lives he had taken, treating it as casually as tying a knot. Dolan easily shattered the bindings around him with a special sword, charging in to cut off all the tendrils of their foe, causing Kyan great pain. Meanwhile, the witch reinforced her body, making it more resilient, while conjuring hundreds of eyes to track their movements. Additionally, she unleashed dark magic, spewing toxic smoke towards Christina as she bought time for Dolan to draw a magic circle to resolve the situation smoothly without destroying her corpse. But why push my friend into the tiger's den? Time is running out for their faction, so they must act. Christina will follow to hear the explanation for why they put that couple in danger. Meanwhile, Selen lies on the operating table, and the witch is delightfully ecstatic. It's been so long since she captured a lamia intact. She desires nothing more than to strip away the soft skin of this girl. Dolan has awakened, ready to stop her from committing any evil against his future wife. The witch is perplexed, having given him enough sedative, yet he sees the magic circle on the floor and starts to understand everything. He asks if Kyan is already so accustomed to killing. The opponent admits they've lost count of how many lives have passed through their hands, treating it as simply tying a knot like the ropes he just shattered, crafted from the scales of the lizard god. Dolan glares at Kyan, questioning if he is truly human. How can he be so strong? After all, he is the White Dragon King, having lived for millions of years. Dolan knows that beings like this can't be reasoned with, so he intends to act. He asks her again how many people she's killed. She laughs, saying she stopped counting after the number surpassed 100, justifying her cruelty as necessary for research, because everyone on this earth possesses something beautiful that she wishes to claim for herself. Dolan recognizes that the magic she wields should have been forbidden long ago. He questions whether she made a pact with the demon tribe to learn it. Kyan is quite surprised to learn that she has extensive knowledge, claiming that every part of her body is taken from powerful races. Despite having gained immortality, she still craves to upgrade herself, viewing the lives of others as mere stepping stones, easily discarded. Dolan sees that the opponent has fallen so far that there's nothing left to say. The witch feels immense pride in her research, boasting that she has the support of several powerful figures. That's why for the past 3 years she has consistently committed evil without consequence. Dolan thinks it's amusing how lowly beings always accompany their loud mouths. With just a few questions, all evidence against her has been recorded. The couple used a sound transmission artifact to let those on the other end hear everything. After gathering enough concrete evidence, Christina and the senior officials arrive, pleased to see her friend has come to help. Little did they know, she would appear in such a grand fashion. Her friend scolds the two for daring to risk their lives as bait to solve this serious case. Olivia steps forward to apologize, explaining that it was a necessary situation since Selen was in danger. Seeing them try to lecture her, she recounts her own story, lamenting how those born with beautiful faces could never understand the suffering she endured. Kyan realizes that in this world beauty is abundant, captivating her, but when she looks in the mirror, she sees her own ugliness, realizing she doesn't match her love for beauty. From here, a string of murders befell young girls. Every time she saw something beautiful, she would strike, using forbidden techniques to claim what she desired. With the support of the demon tribe, her life began to change. She constantly sought to seize everything to make herself more beautiful. However hard she tried, she could never attain her desires, as the fairy tribe, like Olivia, was far more magnificent. Now, with their interference ruining her plans, she feels that her efforts over the centuries have been rendered meaningless. Even though she loves beauty, having fused too many elements into her body, she has become nothing more than a grotesque monster. Ken still wishes to possess the lamia for his collection. The battle between the two sides has begun. Christina inquires about the creature, and Dolan informs her it is a fusion of countless species. This proves that she has indeed made a pact with the demon tribe, necessitating immediate elimination. It's incomprehensible why this old hag sees her appearance as beautiful, wanting to eternally live in the fusion of every creature on Earth. The soldiers are powerless against this massive form. Seeing them in danger, Selena uses her eye power to control the situation, but she can't maintain it for long. Just as she intends to attack, her friend steps in to protect her. Christina is determined to execute those vile beings who dare harm her friends. With a special small sword, she charges in, slicing through the enemy's tentacles, causing the witch to writhe in pain. The witch enhances her body, making it tougher while creating hundreds of eyes to track their movements. Additionally, she can harness dark magic to spew poisonous smoke at Christina. While she stalls, Dolan sketches a magic circle to resolve this issue smoothly. Allowing her remains to destroy the environment is unacceptable. The principal wishes to assist but cannot summon a spirit. Suddenly, Dolan tells everyone to step back so he can finish the remaining work. Christina trusts him completely and steps back. Olivia feels quite uneasy as Dolan opts to use high-level magic, but the protective circle accompanies it. He intends to eliminate the threat before them without harming anyone. Seeing her madness, he quickly activates the Spear of the Celestial Realm, unleashing billions of sharp weapons that pierce her grotesque body, tearing the witch into countless pieces until there's nothing left. Thanks to the protective circle, the opponent cannot escape. The explosion occurs, but the damage is negligible, allowing them to use this evidence to expose her accomplices. With her special sword, Christina struck down every tentacle of the enemy, making the monstrous Ren writhe in pain. She enhanced her body's strength, becoming tougher while producing hundreds of eyes to track their moves. Using dark magic, Ren emitted poisonous smoke toward Christina, who stalled for time. Meanwhile, Dylan drew a magic circle to quietly resolve the situation. Destroying Ren's body would devastate the environment. The headmaster wanted to help but couldn't summon spirits. Suddenly, Morali shouted for everyone to step back. She would finish this. Trusting her, Christina withdrew. Olivia felt uneasy about Dylan using high-level magic, especially the protective circle, but he was determined to eliminate the threat without harm to others. Seeing the madness of their foe, Dylan unleashed the heavenly spear. Countless sharp weapons rained down, slicing the vile witch into pieces until she vanished completely. Protected by the barrier, no one was harmed. They planned to use this evidence to expose the witch's accomplices. A few days later, the pair stayed at the headmaster's house, awaiting paperwork. While waiting, Dylan helped Selena study, who struggled with reading and nearly blew her mind. Christina visited to check if they'd bonded. Headmaster Olivia and Master Gouda arrived late, having dealt with the recent case. They thanked Dylan, who understood the burden of cleaning up such chaos. Selena was shocked when the elder bowed. She'd done nothing wrong. The couple was surprised to be asked to act as bait, initially mistaking the headmaster for a villain. His act was to gain the witch's trust, but in truth he was gentle. Luckily, Dylan brought an antidote from his master, which worked instantly to free her. Today, he also brought a permit for Selena to live in Varan village. Overjoyed, she was now a citizen of the kingdom. The headmaster mentioned a familiar visitor wanting to meet them, none other than Ren, Dylan's master's son, who was close to him. Lady Maguru had sent a letter about Selena's situation, asking for assistance. Ren invited them to stroll through the lively city market, bustling with everything imaginable. The snake girl picked up something a boy dropped but was discriminated against as a monster. Dylan comforted her, but she was used to it. Jenan, the boy's older brother, returned the item, and the friends were allowed to return to the village after all was settled. The elder asked if the younger wanted to enroll at the academy, praising his talent and saying it'd be a waste to let his magic go unused. He declined, wanting to handle matters in the village. Olivia then spoke about the spirit within him, believing that to protect others he needed to broaden his knowledge. The offer was kept open, and Dylan could come any time. On the way back, Christina asked about his decision. He loved the village deeply, and with his dragon god's power, Dylan could protect everyone if he chose seriously. Selena, of course, didn't want him to leave, her affection clear, while Christina thought the academy would help his growth. Meanwhile, in a distant forest, a dire crisis unfolded. Thousands of monsters unleashed by the demon tribe